Hello and welcome to the Theorem podcast. I'm Aspasia Provou, and I'm here to shed light on contemporary wisdom and knowledge and suggest feasible ways it can be incorporated into our lives. The podcast today is about natural parenting, what it is all about, and why it can be an inspiration even to people with adult or no children. My guest is Yulia Volobujeva. Yulia is an expert on natural parenting and a mom to three daughters. She is also a veterinary doctor and worked in the pharmaceutical industry before becoming a yoga teacher and volunteering for years. She settled in Greece, where she got involved with one project that's all about spreading the macrobiotic lifestyle. I think that some aspects of natural parenting are mind blowing and amazingly profound. Hello, Yulia, and welcome to the Theorem podcast. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing really well because the weather is beautiful, sun is shining, so everything is in place.
Yes, so first of all, let's start with what is natural parenting?
I was thinking about it yesterday actually because natural parenting. So, of course, you think about natural and nature, and it seems that parenting should be related to nature, but I thought about another thing. In English, you have an expression human nature.
Uh huh.
So I would love to talk about natural parenting in this perspective, human nature, because we know very well that nowadays a big amount of parents and people live in the cities. We have all these gadgets, we have all these technologies. So we're developing in this direction drastically and fast, very fast. So we cannot stay just in this understanding of nature and nature related to parenting, but to have the idea of human nature and parenting. This is for me seems more reasonable and more important because, as I always say, parenting, because that's how it happened to me. Parenting is a side effect of your own life and of your own development. So, living in the nature, being connected to the nature, yes, it's all nice, it's all wonderful, it's recharging, it's restoring, it's what is our part of, but to say that all these parents who live in the cities, all these people who live in the cities, and create such a big question mark. Like one of my friends, she always says, "Oh, please don't tell me because it gives me headache. I feel disappointed. I don't want to listen to it. Let's talk about something else." So I don't want to discourage, and I don't want people to not be motivated. So that's why I would prefer to add to natural parenting this aspect of human nature and human parenting.
So, for our audience who is not familiar at all with what natural parenting is all about, could you please give us a definition?
Well, if you Google it, the most common explanations are this parenting close to the natural environment. So that's how you come up with these diapers, which are not made of plastic. That's how you come up with all the um, following the child and watching how it goes to the toilet and how it eats, and allowing this the concept of baby led weaning, where the child is guiding you actually how to win it, and uh, allowing child to play with the mud and with the bugs and with the flowers, and being dirty and being outside basically all the time, sleeping outside, eating outside. So that's what natural parenting has as an umbrella under. But to be honest, I haven't read anything, or I haven't seen this idea about how to do this as much as you can when you are busy and when you have your life also implemented in this technological world, in the world of Wi-Fi, the mobile phones, the laptops, and all this stuff. And when you are working with it, And this is, I don't want to exclude it because it's part of our life. Already now, babies before 1 year old, they know how to scroll the screen. So it's not something that I should take away the screens. Of course, until certain age, I'm not showing the screens to my children, but she's gonna deal with it anyway. She's gonna deal with artificial intelligence and robots and things like this. So I don't think that the idea of going back to this lifestyle of people who live in Africa in natural environment, that's how it should look like. But some tips how to include it in the daily life wherever you live, this is important, and this what I would like us to focus on.
Okay. I hear you. And yes, this is the way we live. And for me, for example, it would be, I don't know, I would never be able in this environment I live in to be outdoors with my kids for like 10
Yes,
hours a day. It's
yes,
just,
yes,
it's
yes.
practically impossible. So, Yulia, how did you get into natural parenting?
So my story is that I was always conscious about the environment. I was always conscious about nature. I was recycling since I remember myself. As I said, parenting is a side effect of your own development. So when me and Stavros, before having children, we moved out of the city because it was just not possible for us to stay there. It was not our frequencies. I like cinema, I like theater, I like concerts, but I prefer to go to do these things and then to come back to my peaceful environment where I can put my hands into the earth, for example, where I go out of the house and I see how the sun is rising. I hear the birds. I see the wind playing with the trees. This what I always liked, and this is me. So I lived in the cities for quite a long. I lived in big cities also. It's nice and it's interesting. Usually, as I understand, it's related to some. For me, it was related to my certain age when I had some ideas and of development, and a city was satisfying. But the point came, and we agreed about this with my husband, so that we are moving out of the city. Okay, and then the children came, so it was obvious that our children are gonna grow outside, outdoor, more than indoor. And as I said, I was always conscious about the environment. So that's how I started searching a bit. How do you do with all these diapers? And how do you do with all these toys? And how do you do with all these clothes? Because, you go as a new mother, you go to the shop and you look at the prices. It's like, whoa, you need a budget for all this stuff. And they're so tiny, and these babies actually they grow so fast. So how do you do all this? So slowly, slowly, the thing started for me with the diapers. I read that the baby, until it reaches the age when it doesn't need the diapers, it creates so much of plastic, which is not recyclable at all, that it struck me. And then I said, okay, let's find another solution. It came up with these reusable diapers, the cotton ones. But when the reality came, and when you have this baby and it pees and pees and pees, and you have to change and change and change, and I understood that this is not this is not working. I'm ending up just washing and changing the diapers all the day. So then I started searching, and you see, I'm Russian speaking, so in English, I didn't find that much information how to solve this problem. But in Russian language, because the country is not so developed as we expected in the Western world, and they have a lot of tips and actually explanations how to deal with these problems, like my mother used to before the pampers were, or how to dress up the baby before you had all these comfortable, branded clothes, when you have just a cloth, for example. So, or what to do when the weather is cold and you don't have all these also branded coats, for example, or shoes for little baby. So I found a lot of information there, and that's how I found out about following and watching the baby and the child afterwards, observing, and once more observing, and being aware of what's going on. So once you learn to observe, you understand that the child cries or the baby cries differently when it's hungry, when it wants to go to the toilet. They give us a sign before they do anything. When it wants to go to the toilet, when it's tired, when it's cold, when it's not comfortable, when it just wants to be hugged. They cry differently. But for this, you need to develop little bit of this sensitivity. So for me, it was
Hmm.
very helpful. That I had a lot of experience with yoga, where you're trained through the practice, through the physical practice, and also through the practice of meditation, to focus, to concentrate, to observe, to listen, and to feel. So this helped a lot, and that's when I understood that in reality, yoga was created for men. It was
Oh,
not for
wow.
women. Yes, a long, long time ago, women were not practicing yoga because when you have a baby, you do everything what yoga is teaching you. Everything. And it comes out naturally. And nature helps you through all these hormones and the physiological state of your body and in your endocrine system. Nature is helping you. So we are so lucky. And men, unfortunately, they have to practice yoga because they don't have such lessons in life. So it helped me a lot. And that's how, with the first daughter, we developed a very strong relationship. I understood basically every her movement, every her sound. I could observe how the food is influencing her. I could observe how sleep and her daily schedule is influencing her. And with the diapers, it came out so easily, to be honest, that there were days she was a baby. She was months, like 6, 7 months old.
You mentioned that yoga is something that men need because women are taken care of by nature. Why is that?
Well, traditionally, yoga practice was only for men. Women were not allowed to practice yoga, but also women didn't need it. And in reality, women don't need it because what yoga means, in translation from Sanskrit, it's a union of body, mind, and spirit. When you are giving birth already, and actually when you are pregnant, you have to focus and feel every movement you do, what kind of breathing you should do so that it helps you to give birth or to release some kind of tensions if you are still pregnant, so that the baby can move easier in the belly, or how you should move, how you should stretch, how you should eat also. And it all creates, as a result, it all creates the same things like when you practice yoga. So you have to be really aware of your movement, of your breathing, of your concentration. And of course, the mind is involved because, and everybody knows very well now, it's proven scientifically, the way you are thinking, the patterns of your thought create also certain situations in your real life. So when the baby is born, when the baby is placed on your chest, the breastfeeding, for example, my older daughter taught me, whenever I was breastfeeding her and I was not focused on her, it's not only looking at her, it's about this mental focus. Uh, she was stopping breastfeeding.
Oh,
Yes, whenever I was because when you breastfeed many times per day, so at some point you see quite often mother is, looking for something at the phone, or talking to someone. This was not the case with the older daughter. I had to be there. We have to be just two of us, me and her, and I was present. I had to be present, otherwise, she was stopping breastfeeding. So since then, I understood that, well, I just have to flow with this nature and not to get out of this track, not to get out of this road. So that's how the natural parenting came into our life.
Just to make sure I got it right, going back to my question about yoga, do you believe that nowadays yoga is not useful to women?
No, even on the opposite, because we as women, we became very much man-like. We work, we drive, we have these qualities of fighter. We reach certain goals. We yeah, the quality of the fighter is the quality of the man. Man is fighting to protect and to get the food and to make the house safe. And women, feminine energy is the one which creates inside of all this protective environment. You create certain gentle, warm environment. Because, for example, if you are giving birth and you don't feel safe, the birth just stops.
Uh-huh.
So for woman, she needs to feel safe. So she needs someone, or somehow the environment has to be created in such a way. While traditionally it was men creating a safe environment so that they can give birth peacefully without any problem. Because if I don't feel safe, there will be some kind of problem. Something will not go the way it should go. So because nowadays we became very man-like, and I often look at myself and my husband, and it seems to me that he's he could be a better mother than me because he feels this. The feminine qualities of his are very well developed. He feels these babies, not only our babies, our children, but any other, just amazingly. Like, for example, we could walk the street and one baby is crying and he says, "Oh, this baby is very tired, he needs to sleep. Oh, this baby wants to pee." And I was like, "How do you know this?" And he was saying, "Well, don't you feel?" So this kind of quality feeling, the intuition, so usually it's related to woman, but because we are so focused on other things, planning, reaching the goal, organizing, yes, looks like nowadays that's why probably yoga and all these practices from the East became so popular, and that's why they spread so much. Because we as women, we need to create a certain environment so that we can feel safe, relaxed, and we practice what originally women were probably practicing naturally. Because I observe it on the children and I observe it on myself. For example, when you have the phone, when you have when you are searching for some information, it takes so much of your concentration. Nowadays, also all these windows are popping out, so the concentration is not present. You are just jumping from one topic to another, and it's constantly changing these images on the screen. It's very difficult to concentrate, and once you finish this job, it leaves the feeling of that there are lots of different parts of the puzzle inside, but you cannot put it like in one picture. So the same is when you are doing things like when you have the baby and you have to breastfeed it, but you are thinking about what you're gonna do afterwards, or what happened to you before, or maybe you hear this click, someone send you a message, or even click click click, someone send you few messages. So straight away, like, huh, you're gone. The concentration is gone and you are not present with the baby. So the quality of this being with the baby and actually being with any other human being is not in amount of time, it's in quality of time. So you can sit with this baby for hours, but if you are present in the phone, if you are present in your thoughts, what you're gonna cook or how you're gonna dress up or what you're gonna talk with the one friend or another, or what conflict did you have anywhere else. So this is not time with your baby. It's your own time and your own mind game. But if you want to have a quality time, then you have to be totally present. You leave everything aside, phones, thoughts, people, images. You just here, and that's the baby. And breastfeeding, for example, it's natural way of concentration. And you have all these hormones excreted when you breastfeed, so that even the nature is helping you stay here and now, breathe, because you are not giving only the milk, all these proteins and sugars, but you are giving also all your inner state, your mood, your thoughts,
Ooh.
your feelings. You have to be really balanced and harmonized if you want the best to be given to your baby. So, like this, you have to work a
Hmm.
lot with your mind. You have to work a lot with your emotions. You have to work a lot with your thoughts. And this is exactly what yoga is doing, because the teacher tells you, now focus here, focus on this point of the body, now breathe, inhale slowly and exhale slowly. So your parasympathetic system, nervous system is stimulated, so you have to be more calm, more peaceful, forget about all your thoughts, focus on your breath. So it's exactly what the yoga teacher says, exactly what you're doing, for example, when you're breastfeeding. That's how it goes together. But to be able to breastfeed the baby in such a way, or to deal with the baby in such a way, you should have this experience before you get the baby. So that's why for me, yoga was perfect. I knew what it is like, what the practice is for, how all these tools can be used. And when the baby was born, I was just amazed, like, wow, this is everything what I've learned. So, that's how it works. Because you see, yoga in the sense of this philosophy and exercise, it seems little bit, often, it seems little bit like, okay, this is the yoga, this is the yoga class, this is the meditation, and this is the real life. So, how do you put it all together? So, you need to have a very good teacher who tells you, okay, in this life situation, do this, like this breathing, or in this life situation, have this kind of concentration, focus on that. So, if you don't have a teacher who explains you how to use these yogic tools in your real life, it's like, okay, that's the yoga, that's the real life, and they have nothing to do together. Because I was lucky, I knew the tools, I had the experience of dealing with the baby and life with the baby, and I could connect together, and it was perfect. And you see, yoga is very much about nature. All the poses are taken from the nature. All the breathing patterns are taken also from the nature, observation. All the meditation techniques, all these chantings, mantras, sounds, it's all taken from the nature. So it's natural. It's not something what, some human being sat down and thought, okay, so let's breathe this way, and this is going to stimulate the nervous system, or it's going to relax this part of the body. No, they just observed, they concentrated, they felt, the intuition guided them in certain direction, and it just came out naturally. It's also part of the nature. It's not the part of the mind game, mind
Hmm.
created activity. Perfectly it can be included in all this natural aspect of natural parenting, perfectly, all the yogic practices, absolutely.
To tell you the truth, I had no idea it worked this way. Um, so yeah, I think it's very, very interesting.
But you see, we are coming again to this point that parenting, as anything else, is a side effect of your own development, of your own self development.
Hmm.
So, of course, it goes sort of together. Once you have a child and you think that I want to do the best for this child, what can I do? So, it cannot be started with the child, it has to start with you. So, you yourself have to find, um, what can I change in my life, or what should I change in my life so that I feel better and I take out of this life the most for myself, and then you sort of project it on your child. So that's how it goes, as I said, as I mentioned with yoga. So it's perfect if you could learn these tools before, and once you have the baby, once you have a child, you just use these tools. That's why I wanted to use this human nature because nature is here. It doesn't go anywhere. Whatever we do with it, it's strong enough. It's not gonna disappear. It's gonna restore. It's gonna be here always. But what we are losing also this feeling of human,
Hmm.
human in the nature, because human is a part of nature. We are not separated. We are coming out of it to focus, not only to focus, but only talk about nature and natural parenting. It's something is missing because when you think about human nature, you feel a part of nature. So in this sense, it feels like nature is like the mother who is guiding you. But when you think about natural parenting, especially this word parenting, it gives you the idea that I'm the parent, so I'm the one who has to guide the child with some natural ways. You feel how it shifts the perspective because
Yes.
the idea of surrendering, the idea of going with the flow with the nature gives you much more strength, and it gives you this solid soil under your feet so that you know that you stand on the soil, that you stand on the earth, you stand on the ground, and from there you just grow like the tree into the natural parenting. But this nature is hugging you. Nature is like, this wall. When you parenting, it always often happens the situations when you don't know how to deal with it, how to solve it. And when you have this feeling of nature like the wall behind you, you feel that you are not falling into the black hole, just endless. You feel that you are linking on something what is holding you, and you feel this strength behind you. It's like, okay, possible, I'll find the way, I'll find the answer, I'll find the solution. And like this, if you observe, if you watch, if you just go outside, breathe a little bit, nature will help you. It will come up with certain answer, solution to your question. Little bit
So
philosophical.
nature has our backs.
Yes, yes.
So why should a parent do natural parenting?
Because especially now, I think it's very important because now we are so fast developing in the area of technology, our scientific development. Also, we're creating sort of a gap between human and nature because all these cables, screens, these things which seem not natural actually move us away from nature. So you feel that you are somehow disconnected from the roots. We all know very well that if you don't go out, if you don't breathe fresh air, if you don't see this green color, if you don't look up in the sky and see this view which is not doesn't have borders, for example, where your eyes can just like, or the sea, when you look into the sea and it's like, so this gives you the feeling of no limitation. And when you look up and you have the roofs or you have the walls or something, or you have the cables, it gives you the feeling of limitation. It gives you the feeling of, something is in front of your way. Because we are developing, we want it or we don't want it, well, it goes this way. Let's just accept it. It goes this way. The technology is developing, and the gap between the feeling that I'm the part of the nature and I'm the human being is it's growing drastically. So it is important for the children to feel where they're coming from. You see, now it pops up in my head yesterday also. I don't remember what was it about. I listened to some interview, and there was this question risen about children who are born not naturally, who are born by the, how do you call it in English?
IVF?
Yeah, IVF. It is a big development. It's a big shift in development of the science and technology. A human being can create a child out of the human being. It's a big jump. But on the other hand, Okay, the baby is born this way. Fine. But still, as a parent, you need to not only to explain, you need to give the feeling, where am I coming from? Am I coming from this thing where someone just put together two cells? Okay, it happened this way. Fine. It's not a problem. Ah, the world is going this way, so it's okay. But where do I belong? It's this sense of belonging, the sense of having roots, the sense of having
Mm-hmm.
some wall behind you. This has to be created, and this has to be given by a parent to the child. Of course, it goes without saying, you need to spend as much as possible time with the baby, with the child outside, so that it feels the leaves, it feels the soil, it feels the stones, it feels the air, the wind, it hears some natural sounds like the birds, the wind playing with the leaves. As I said already, this view where your eyesight is not limited, where it's not
Mm-hmm.
crossed with some cables or some other objects. It's perfect. It's perfect. It needs to be done as much as possible, but it has to be done not only because of the child. It needs to be done for you, because when you are out with the child in this environment, in this nature, don't forget that you and the child are two the same. You are the same. You are, it's not that you are the parent and he is the child. You are together. You are two human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are present at this moment with the child and you don't think about this click click in your mobile phone, or you are reading something on your, or you're talking with someone on the phone, if you are present at this moment with your child, having this experience of the sound, of the view, of the feeling, it equalize you. Actually, you don't feel that I'm the parent, I'm the one who has to take care, I'm the one who has, to teach you, I'm the one who has to do something for you because, I'm older, I'm more experienced. No, it gives you the feeling of equality. We are two human beings. We are two
Mm-hmm.
cells which are the part of something bigger. Once you have this experience, you yourself, it's going to be transferred to your child. And if you ever have this experience and you feel how good it is, you will want to do this for your children. You will find the time to go to the seaside. If you yourself experience, oh, how it's nice to be on the seaside, how it's nice to see these waves, foo, foo, back and forth, and how it's nice to look, and there is this space to see. If you yourself feel it, experience it, you will find the time, you will find the way how to get there. It's gonna happen. If you don't have this experience yourself, you always will find obstacles. I have no time, I
Mm-hmm.
have no car, I have to work, I have to do so many things, I'm tired, many things. So that's what I say. You have to experience yourself, you have to work with yourself, and then it's going to be projected on your children. And then your parenting
So,
becomes natural. Natural in the sense that you don't have to think about it, you don't have to Google it. You don't, okay, some Google
mm-hmm.
is okay, but you will not be, hanging in all these groups of mothers. So how do you feed, how do you put them to sleep? No, it just comes out of you naturally, because you are a part of nature, because you have this feeling, I'm not alone, there is this wall behind me, there is this mother hugging me. And it just, naturally you are singing these songs, naturally these lullabies. You know how to, somehow you come up with some ideas how to put this child to sleep, how to put this child to play on its own, how to occupy the child when it doesn't want to eat and you have to feed this big bowl of some food. So it just comes out naturally, because you feel that
Mm-hmm.
it's not you. Because you see, with all this development of the technology, we develop this feeling of that the human being is the god. I'm the god. So I'm guiding, I'm switching on the computer and switching it off. Yes, I'm choosing the program, I'm choosing what I'm gonna watch. So slowly, slowly, the technology will develop that the technology is gonna tell you, now you have to do this. Now, because you like, fruit, so I give you on your laptop or on your phone the pictures of fruit or something. So slowly we are going to that side. So that's why it's crucial, it's very important to develop this feeling of human being and the feeling of being one with the nature.
Yulia, you talked about this disconnection with nature that many of us have. And you also talked about some of the benefits that natural parenting has for children and parents. Could you please talk about the benefits that natural parenting has for the community and the world?
You see, it's little bit difficult and easy at the same time because the understanding of the feeling of this community is very different from what the community was when I was growing. The community when I was
Hmm.
growing was this community or group of people who were living in the same house, and you were going, all these children were going from this house or houses around were going to the same playground, your neighbors, your family. Now, because we move so much, we travel so much, we have so many connections. So, this feeling of community is usually the macrobiotic community around the world, or yogic community around the world, or some other kind of community around the world. So we are all around, we are coming from different countries, different traditions, different cultures, different religions. So it's
Hmm.
much easier to talk what kind of impact it has on the world than on the community, because the community, I don't even know how to, how to structure this word community of all this. No, maybe I can say it now. I can relate it to the school, for example, school community where children are
Hmm.
going to school. Well, you see, as it's easier for me to explain it from the yogic point. Yoga says that uh, we are all interconnected. It's a union. Your body, your mind, your spirit, but it's also the union of all the minds, all the spirits, all the bodies. So if I'm in a bad mood and I come into the community, I come to the school, to the class, everybody around me is going to feel it. If I'm in a good mood, if I have a birthday, for example, I'm coming with a smile, I'm coming with these treats for everybody. I mean, I'm happy, so everybody feels it. And in this state, whatever happens to me, even if I fall down, for example, somehow it doesn't hurt that much as if I fall down when I'm in a bad mood. So, of course, you are influencing like this the community and the world. Well, as I said, now the borders disappeared, so we are all connected to the whole world, and it's the same thing. And you see, because we don't have such a clear borders between us, between the countries, between the cultures, everything what happens inside of me and everything what happens in my family can be so easily projected to the whole world. Look, you have the podcast, where from people are going to listen to it from everywhere. So
Hmm.
everything what even 20 years ago I could express, and only the community of the parents from the school will listen to me, would hear me. Now the whole world can hear this, and it's a very powerful tool because you have to be careful what you are talking about. You better talk about some nice things, because the world is always is constantly playing this yin yang game, the game of light and darkness, good and bad. And it seems that what can I do? I mean, I'm living in a small town, in a village, God knows where. Okay, Greece is famous, so people know Greece. But anyway, what can I do? But you can do a lot. You can do a lot because the world consists of such small, tiny communities, me, my family, and my children. So if my small community is in harmony, is peaceful, is in tune with nature, is supporting the nature, is safe, feeling safe and peaceful. So I'm going to project it. I'm going to project it on the community in the school. I'm going to project it through the internet to some other communities. And like this, the world will keep the balance
Mm-hmm.
because it's important. Because you see, when you watch the news, when you scroll this phone, when you switch it on and it gives you all the news, it's often it's very discouraging. Whenever I watch these news, I always think, my God, where are our children gonna live? In what kind of world? But at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm not gonna do an extra effort, me, myself, and our family, yes, the world might not go in the most positive way. Okay, the nature will do its job. If it's needed, we will disappear, and the nature will will do it in such a way so that if we're gonna do too much, it will give us a punch. But still, we, as a small little community, we can do a lot. Just being
Mm-hmm.
peaceful and helpful and loving and caring is already a lot. I always teach my children, behave with the others the way you want them to behave with you. But you have to behave first. Don't
Mm-hmm.
expect that other is going to come to you and say, good morning. If you want others to say this to you, you have to do it first. You have
Mm-hmm.
first to start saying good morning to everybody, and then it will come back to you. So that's why it is important.
Mm-hmm.
It is important what we do in our little community as a family, because if we do these things which we want the rest of the world to repeat, we have to do it first. We have first to take care of the nature, of the house, of each other in a nice, loving, gentle manner. And then this is going to be projected on the rest of the world.
What are five things anyone could adopt from the natural parenting philosophy?
First, probably the most important, don't forget where you are coming from, where your roots are coming from. So the nature is the mother, and that
Mm-hmm.
we are the part of the nature. You see, when it comes to such questions like, give me five things, so I start thinking very practically, like, watch what you are, watch what you are buying, watch what you are
Uh
putting
huh.
on yourself, watch what you are eating, read the labels. It's very important to read the labels. I give you one example. We usually don't buy clothes, and we exchange clothes with the other mothers. And my husband sister is older, and her daughters are now 20 something. They study in the universities, and she gave me some old clothes from these girls. So I read the labels. Already not saying that some of the clothes are made in Iran, but it's not possible nowadays to find any clothes in our world to be made in Iran. The composition of many of these tops she gave us were 98% of cotton and only 2% elastan. Now you will not find such composition. Most probably it's going to be 95 and 5. So you see
Mm-hmm.
3%. 3%. But if you calculate it on amount, it's whoo, we increased the amount of plastic drastically. So read the labels on everything, on clothes, on food, on things you buy. Uh, do your shopping consciously. Really stop, take in one inhalation, one exhalation, and then think, do I really need it? Because now time
Mm-hmm.
is, I don't know when it's going to be all this podcast, but time is coming for Christmas presents. And I already received the calls from godmothers and the aunts. So, what shall I buy for the girls? And I'm like, oh, we have everything, guys. We have house, we have food, we have clothes, we have toys. And when girls go out, they pick up all these leaves and flowers and sticks and stones, and they're making something with the mud, so they don't need any kind of toys. Okay, when it's raining and they have to sit inside, the older ones like to play puzzle or to draw something. The little one, maybe, yeah, she will put something, some kind of soft toy. She's gonna be hanging around with it. But it's like such small items, one, two, three, okay, four, but that's maximum. So this you see, it is related to the same thing as I said before. Doesn't matter how long time you spend with your child, it's the quality. The same is with all
Right.
these items around us. It doesn't matter how many socks we have or how many food we have in our fridge. It matters how what is the quality of it. How did you buy it? How did you buy it? So, like, how conscious you were, how aware you were that you really need this. You read the label, you thought it over. So it's a quality. So this quality shopping is now changed into quantity shopping. So this is important because in nature there is it's not the law of the nature, the quantity. Nature is going for quality. So you see this natural parenting, it's just one of the labels. It comes out to this big concept like watch the nature, follow the nature, look what the nature is doing. It's really not storing as many as possible things. No, it takes the quality. The same is with our life. And because, as I said, this gap between us and the nature is growing, so probably we don't feel it, we don't have this feeling. So the more you observe, the more you get in touch with the nature, you it will come up to you. Laws of nature will pop up in your mind.
If you could recommend 5 elements of natural parenting to anyone to adopt, what would these 5 things be?
Yes. So first would be that we are a part of nature. So there is a feeling
Okay.
of Mother Nature who is supporting me and helping me and taking care of me. Second would be quality. Third would be consciousness, like conscious buying, conscious using, conscious acting, conscious thinking. So third would be consciousness. Yeah, be as much as possible natural. So you see, food is just a separate topic because food is very important and food is our basis. To maintain this physical body, you need food, air, and water. So, air and water, okay, it's easy to take care of. Food is not so easy. So, as much as possible, food has to be natural. So, the same, we are coming back to this quality and consciousness. Read the label and see if there is any ingredient which you don't know what it is. Just don't take it. Better don't take it. And as much as possible, if you could buy the food items in their natural form, like this fruit and vegetable and grains and beans, not canned, not already frozen or some kind of processed in some kind of way, the best. And you know what? I really wanted to strike somehow these clothes. No, maybe because I have girls, and you see, girls like to change clothes and they like to dress up. And I see that it's such a big industry which is so much into quantity and not quality. It's amazing. So when we were discussing with you the previous time, I told you that I try not to have clothes with any glitter in the house, and it's such a headache. And not only glitter, but also these stickers, which slowly with the washing they
Mm-hmm.
disappear and they excrete this plastic into the water. So I try to have clothes just from natural fabrics, and it's so difficult. It's
Mm-hmm. And
amazing.
it's getting more and more difficult.
Yes, it's amazing. The world is developing so fast, and I cannot say that we are developing in terms of clothes that it develops into this quality direction. So you really need to
Mm-hmm.
search because you see, for example, um, me and Stavros already long time. It's coming from the macrobiotic philosophy that close to the body you should wear natural fabrics like 100% cotton, 100% linen, something like this. And whenever I put on my body something what has already, this 5% of elastin, it feels like I'm suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
For children, I mean, they don't bother. You put and they have it on and it's fine. But because I have the experience how not pleasant it is, I'm going to project it on my children. So you see, I have to have this experience myself first, and then
Mm-hmm.
I will I will just find a way how to do it for my children.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have this experience, if I have these clothes which are made of plastic and I put it on myself and I'm okay with this, now that someone will come and tell me, you should use natural fabrics for your children, okay, and it doesn't ring the bell. So that's why I say it has to
Right.
start with you. It has to start with your
Mm-hmm.
personal experiences. And of course, it's never too late. The other thing is, it's never too late. If you have these experiences together with your children, it's even better, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's nice when you have these experiences before you have children. So you project these experiences on your parenting and on your children. But when you have this experience of wow, look, it's so beautiful, the sky with the stars, and you have this together with your child next to you, it's like doubling. It feels even
Mm-hmm.
double better somehow. So it's never too late. This is probably number 5. After food,
Okay.
it's never too late. It's never too late. Even if
Okay, so
even if you have grandchildren, it's never too late.
let's sum them up.
Yes. Number 1 is the feeling that you are a part of nature, that there is Mother
Okay.
Nature nurturing you, taking care of you, supporting you. Then number 2 would be quality, not quantity. Number 3 would be conscious shopping, conscious acting, conscious talking, conscious thinking, consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 will be food. Yes, food very much because our physical body and especially the body of children is very much depending on food. And number 5 would be that it's never too late to have the new experience, to have some changes in your life. And if it goes together with your parenting, and if you are growing together with your child, it seems to me sometimes that it's even better. You have this double effect of wow experience. I remember when you have in Greece we have this holiday when we do the kites in
Mm-hmm.
the sky, and I've never did the kite in my life somehow because maybe don't have such strong winds in Lithuania. I don't know. And my husband, he also did it very long time ago when he was a child. And now the girls grew. And last year we went and the wind was perfect. And he bought this kite. It was made from recycled plastic bags, something like this. And we were all, playing with this kite. And it was like everybody was screaming and laughing, and it was amazing. And I was thinking, you see, we are already in such age, and because we have this experience together with our children, we feel like children ourselves. It's wonderful. So yes, if you can have such experiences together with your children, it's it's great.
You talked about our habits as consumers. And I just wanted to add to this that we see that companies are kind of trying to listen to what consumers want in order to provide
Mm.
it. And so I believe it is each time we consume something, each time we buy something, we're actually voting for the future. And if we all make better choices, if we all prefer, for example, clothes that are made of natural fibers, then companies will do that. And if we prefer to buy one sweater that is made of out of wool and it costs like 10 instead of 2, then this is where the world will go. So it's good to be conscious of our choices and of the power our choices have,
Yes,
because our choices can change the world.
yes, it goes together with the principle you take responsibility for your life. Because you see, it seems that all those companies create this kind of products and we have to buy it, or those governments or those doctors, they create such a conditions and we have to live with them. But no, it's us, each one of us, who creates certain environment around us. And when we're gonna decide that I'm taking responsibility for everything what happens in my life, then it's gonna change. When you will learn not to project and to make guilty someone else. Yes,
Hmm.
everybody makes mistakes. It's okay. And the government and parent and company which is producing whatever kind of food or clothes, yes, they also make mistakes. But if I do the right choice, if I think of creating my environment consciously, the change is going to happen.
Yulia, thank you very much for all this information and for sharing your experience. I think that everything you've shared is not only interesting and useful to parents, but to anyone. And I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you too, because it gives my voice a bigger power. So not only my small community of 5 people can listen to it and can hear it, but a bigger audience. So it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Theorem podcast. Connect with me on social media at Aspasia Provou and at theorem.podcast and share your thoughts. You may support us on Patreon. Visit the website aspasiaprovou.com/theorem for more. Kalema sindoma, meaning talk to you soon in Greek. Aspasia's Theorem podcast does not provide advice, medical or any other kind. It just presents the opinions of its host and guests. If you have any specific problems, please visit your physician or a medical expert for help. Anything said should not be taken as a replacement for medical, clinical, or professional advice, diagnosis, or medical intervention. The episodes of Aspasia's Theorem podcast may, at times, cover sensitive topics, including, but not limited to, mental health, nutrition, health, politics, spirituality, alternative medicine, energy healing, and the use of plant medicines. You're advised to refrain from continuing if you are adversely impacted by any of these topics.